Hi guys, I'm Chris,
And I'm Mike.
and welcome back to No Limits, a Mitch Rapp podcast. So how you doing this week, Mike?
I'm good, man. I'm excited for this series here, The Road to Total Power. I've been thinking about this book nonstop. As most of you know, I've been tweeting about this book nonstop.
Yes, you have.
And so I'm just pumped. I wish we didn't have 2 months. Actually, I didn't realize it's 2 months to the day. July
Nice.
15th, we're recording, and September 15th, Total Power comes out. Well, anyway, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. No, I'm excited. We're doing a special bonus episode today, our start of our road to total power. Super excited to be talking about this book, everything that we know. Super excited to talk about the Ambassadors Program, which our podcast, you submitted it for us, and we are an ambassador. Excited about that. And it's just, summer is going well.
Yeah. So on that topic, shout out to all the hashtag Mitch Rapp ambassadors.
Yes.
It's a program. The application is still open. They're going to be selecting people on a weekly basis. So if you want to go on and share why you deserve to be recognized as one of the top Mitch Rapp fans around the world, you can submit an application, a picture, of you preferably reading or with a book or your collection. And if you have any social media where you can promote the book and promote the platform, I'm sure you'd have a great chance of being selected. So you can apply at vinceflynn.com. While you're there, order your copy of Total Power. Place your pre-order way in advance to make sure you get it on September 15th.
Already done.
And if selected as a Mitch Rapp ambassador, you will get an advanced reading copy, which I am pumped about. I'm going to be checking the mailbox every day over the next couple of weeks and months, just hoping that package is in there.
Yes, very excited for that.
Yeah. So while we're on it, another part of our Twitter roundup this week, we have some amazing people online interacting with us. We started a countdown, and we're currently at 62 days to total power. And so every day we've been using the hashtag countdown number of days to total power and submitting or posting lyrics. And the lyrics are a cover of a famous song, but substituting the words all about Mitch Rapp. And we've had some golden ones, thanks to at Evil Rap Lady, at J Plume, at David T_Canucks, and at D Dobiasek. And Chris, I don't know if you saw this, but
you submitted one, right? And David sang it for you, right?
Have you seen the video yet?
Yeah, you sent it to me. That was hilarious.
Well, we got a second one I posted today. Yeah, we've got him doing his best Freddie Mercury impression of "We Are the Ambassadors."
Yes,
instead of "We Are the Champions." Today he did his best Lee Greenwood impression, and we got him doing "God Bless." Is it "God Bless Mitch Rapp"? What is it? Oh, it's "I'm proud to be a Mitch Rapp fan."
Oh, nice. I'm proud to be an American. Nice.
And I'm proud to be American. That's what it is. And so we got that up on our website, mitchrappod.com. Just click our Road to Total Power page, and you could see all these wacky song lyrics. And, you could see everybody's favorite, David, doing his best Freddie Mercury and Lee Greenwood.
That's awesome. Yeah, I thanks for sending me those videos.
Yeah, sure.
Weren't you going to do a Baby Got Rap?
Oh, we got Baby Got Rap. It's, oh, man. How did I write this?
I like big guns and I cannot lie.
No, it was, what the heck was it? I like Mitch Rapp and I cannot lie. You terrorists can't deny. When Rapp walks in, what does he walk in with?
With a gun in his waist.
Walks in with a gun in a 9mm in his waist. You get sprung. That's
nice.
That's it. Yeah, if David can do some Sir Mix-a-Lot or Sir Rap-a-Lot, I think
Sir Rap-a-Lot.
I think we get a lot more sales of Total Power.
I think so. At least 10 more.
Oh, easily. Well,
you can cut that.
Also, to wrap up our progress on the Patreon page, we are so grateful. We have a couple of new patrons. Thank you to our newest agent, Maria C., and our special agents, Ray M., Catherine C., and Jeff P., of course. They've got some swag in the mail. I sent out the bookmarks and the stickers, and they are also eligible for our July giveaway. So don't forget, at the end of this month, we'll be choosing one patron as a winner for our first giveaway, a Vince Flynn autographed copy of Separation of Power. And so we're going to pick that winner on July... How many days in July? 31st.
July 31st.
July 31st. And if you are a patron by then, you still have a chance to get your name in the hat for that copy of the book. We're going to be reading Separation of Power in October. And so you still have time to sign up and get entered into the July raffle. Just go to our website, mitchrappod.com, and click the orange Support Us on Patreon button. So a huge shout out and thank you to everybody who has joined our Patreon page so far.
Yes, thank you very much.
You know, I haven't run this by you, Chris, but the patrons have been so exciting. I'm committing to 4 episodes a month. So I'm giving you a little extra work. We've been doing between 3 and 4 episodes a month, but with these guys supporting us, we're committing to 4 episodes a month, making this pretty much a weekly podcast.
Boom. Let's do it.
So, Chris, what content are we covering today?
Right. So today is part 1 of our road to total power. And this is just a special episode devoted to everything that we know now about total power. And this will be the next book in the Mitch Rapp series, and it'll be the 19th book overall, and it'll be the 6th book by Kyle Mills. And so, basically, dating all the way back to last September, in an interview that Kyle Mills did with The Real Book Spy, we gained some information about the next book. The Lethal Agent had just come out. Mainly that interview was all about Lethal Agent, which we just read and we're going to be talking about in next month. And at the end of that book, Mitch has defeated ISIS, and now he wanted to focus on something different. So in that interview, we learned, a little bit about the book, and then over time we learned about the title. And it's interesting, fun fact, that the word power has been used in a Mitch Rapp book title 4 times. You have transfer of power, separation of power, executive power. So I asked you, is power been the most common word to be used in a Mitch Rapp title?
And of course, I nerded out and spent some time on this. It's going to be used for the 4th time, which is going to make it the most used non-preposition of any title.
Wow.
The word "the" I think came up 4 or 5 times. No, "the" came up 4 times in titles, but the word "of" came up 5 times. So
essentially, power is the most used word. Yes.
Although kill was pretty close. I believe there are 3 books with kill.
Yeah, kill shot,
consent to kill, and order to kill.
Order to kill. Yep.
So, yep. I wonder. Power. Power is going to be our most common word in any Mitch Rapp book.
Nice. Right. So, what do you think about the name? Ominous. Doing something different.
I love it. I mean, Lethal Agent, for its time, was very cutting edge and then super scary, imagining infectious diseases, particularly YARS, right? He writes about, spoiler, Yemeni acute respiratory syndrome. And just a few months later, right, like we have the current pandemic. So, Kyle's nailed a topic that was very scary, that seemed super realistic. Most of his research seemed to be about the SARS virus years prior, but
right.
He nailed it. Well, when I hear total power, I'm jazzed thinking, is he going to nail it again? I hope Kyle Mills isn't going to be a soothsayer like he was about this current pandemic. I'm concerned about the power grid. That's always been, I think, one of America's top vulnerabilities. And so hearing the title Total Power, an attack on our electrical system and a potential blackout, that scares me, right? Like equal parts ominous, equal parts exciting. And then this is just coming to me, having reread The Lethal Agent. I think we're going to see an election season again, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We saw in Lethal Agent Christine Barnett angling, really angling to become the nominee. And I think we're going to see another election season in this book. So Total Power, when you think the election...
Double edge, yeah.
Yep. It's that double entendre meaning of, yes, the crisis with the power grid, but I'm like, that can equally apply to a candidate wanting total power or another country manipulating our elections, and they have total power over our democracy. And right. I'm like, coming off Red War, right? 2 books ago, I'm thinking Russia's interference and things. I'm thinking this title, Total Power, is going to surprise us and mean more than just the electrical grid.
Yeah, I like how most of the time we sort of talked about it with the third option, right? And how the title can mean multiple different things, term limit as well. So I always like, we typically get in these books some an in your face meaning of the title, and then some the title plays in multiple ways, right? So let's get a little bit deeper into what we know about the actual book. So just go into the description that's on vinceflynn.com. It just says, so in our next thriller, in the #1 New York Times bestselling Mitch Rapp series, it's a race against the clock when ISIS takes down the entire U.S. power grid and throws America into chaos. When Mitch Rapp captures ISIS's top technology expert, he reveals that he was on his way to meet a man who claims to have the ability to bring down America's power grid. Rapp is determined to eliminate this shadowy figure, but the CIA's trap fails. The agency is still trying to determine what went wrong when ISIS operatives helped this cyber terrorist do what he said he could, plunge the country into darkness. With no concept of how this unprecedented act was accomplished, the task of getting the power back on could take months, perhaps even years. Rapp and his team embark on a desperate search for the only people who know how to repair the damage, the ones responsible. But his operating environment is nothing like he's experienced before. Computers and communication networks are down, fuel can no longer be pumped from gas stations, water and sanitation systems are on the brink of collapse, and the supply of food is running out. Can Rapp get the lights back on before America descends irretrievably into chaos? Dun dun dun.
Yeah, that's scary stuff, right? Like, cyber warfare is going to be the next, or cyber, hacking is going to be the next wave of terrorism, or the next wave of even warfare, and
both like in real life and in fiction. So.
Yeah, I think if you think like pandemic, like genre literature and movies, there was a little bit of it, right? From what I heard in a few interviews, was publishing companies, pandemic literature shot up when this whole thing started, and then it got really old real fast. And initially people were eating up pandemic literature.
Well, like I watched Contagion, and it was like the #1 watched movie on iTunes, and for a couple months back in March and April.
I don't know. It just could be a unique angle, and I could see literature and movies like taking off with this kind of stuff over the next 5-10 years. And unfortunately, I can equally see an attack of this nature being common and sparking that. So I think Kyle Mills, again, I think he's going to go 2 for 2, or really 6 for 6, we should say, on these books, but 2 for 2 at least on current events.
I mean, I hope like the actual power grid doesn't go down.
No, same, right?
But I definitely think the idea of cyber warfare. I sort of posed this question to my friends the other day, to you, on our weekly Zoom call, right? Have we seen the end of conventional warfare? Is it only going to be, sort of these small, not small, but like we're going to see warfare in poor third world countries, and then everything else is going to be in the cloud, in terms of all this other stuff. So yeah, he's definitely ahead of the times. He knows where things are going, which most of these books have been, like that.
And it's genius to tie that in with an election cycle. Just look at what we learned in 2016. We still don't have the full picture, but how much there were claims of interference by foreign governments, and if not that intense, there were at least fake news campaigns that were organized, and social media was used to sway public opinion. We have to have learned our lesson, but I feel like we didn't. And November of this year, right, is going to be, right, I think, a massive turning point in our country. Yes, some could argue the last 4 years have been that turning point, but I do think there's going to be a very defining something in November around this election. And so for Kyle Mills to target that and realize those things align in the real world, and they're aligning in Rapp's world, the election and this vulnerability, I just think is genius. I think it's brilliant, and it just, for all the things we could look at in Rapp's world and say, no way, all the badass things to save the day, or all the decisions that he makes, and we could just say, no way. I mean, we are getting closer and closer to these books sounding more real in every sense, in every sense. And I think this one's going to nail that, just like Lethal Agent did.
The last couple have been really close to home. I feel like, while we're gonna get to it, but how I loved Memorial Day. I guess it's still possible, obviously, sneaking a nuke onto U.S. soil and potentially detonating a dirty bomb. But I guess I fear that, but I don't fear it imminently. You know what I mean?
Yep. These more subtle attacks we fear, more presciently.
Exactly. One interesting thing about just reading that description, we then can go to another part where we have sort of behind the book and to see where why he wrote this, and it just begins to get me to think that we've never actually seen Mitch prevent something from happening. We rarely do we see him lose. In Lethal Agent, he saves the day. Most of the time he saves the day.
The virus didn't get out there, yeah.
Exactly.
But here it happens.
But here, the attack happens. The world is plunged into darkness. And I think it's interesting, we in this interview where Kyle mentions, he wanted to have a plot. Not only he had written in his previous series about Mark Beeman, where some terrorists had this plot that was able to be foiled, but then he wanted to now take it a step further. Let's say, what if it doesn't get foiled? Now, and I quote, he says, "What about a world without power? How would I heat up my house?" He lives in Wyoming. How would food be processed and transported to his local grocery store? How would water be pumped, to my house for drinking and sanitation? And these are all really prescient questions to interesting questions to research and then write a book about. And then take the next step. Here we have Mitch Rapp. He's always saving the day. Now let's put him into a different situation where he's normally accustomed to winning, but in the situation, what if he didn't win? What if he allowed the attack to happen, and now he has to deal with it, right? He now, obviously, this is going to put him into, he doesn't have communications. He can't, what is he going to do? He has to freaking ride horseback,
And all those points are great, and that's going to make for a great read. But I'm excited for another angle of this. You know how these stories, and it's part of the genre, right? This device of, while the main action is taking place here, you have a quick cut to, some new character or some random family in a seemingly random isolated place. Yet over the course of the book, those two events collide, right? And those two narratives, those two stories are more intertwined than one would have thought. I'm looking forward to those initial chapters that seem out of the blue. I'm really hoping we get what I would call an ordinary American family, right? Just living their life and watching them deal with the fallout of this attack. That to me would be equally intriguing as the, crazy off the chain stuff we get to see Rapp do, which, we can guarantee he's going to do some crazy badass stuff. I'm almost equally concerned for Kyle Mills' thought process on how would an average American's daily life and habits change? How would the safety of communities, not there's a bomb in New York City, but how would the safety of a family in small town, like you mentioned, Wyoming, what would happen to that town? How would life go on? And then equally, I'm interested in how would communities pull together? I think we're going to see some examples of heroism outside of Rapp, Irene, and the CIA. I really think we're going to have to see a character who becomes heroic, or very many characters who become heroic just on the, belief of love for neighbor, right? We're going to have to see, as much as the terrible stuff is going to be happening and making noise in the plot's also going to have to be sustained by your average good-natured Americans stepping up and leading communities, protecting them, defending them, and providing for them. And so I'm really excited, whether that's a new character or a new set of characters. I'm just excited to see how that gets written.
Right. One other thing I just want to bring up in reading what Kyle wrote about writing this book is the research that he did. And he said that he read a bunch of congressional reports that concluded 90% of Americans would die if a blackout lasted a year. And there is a report that exists that goes into details about what happens with a blackout and all this stuff. It'd be interesting if we could find, those reports or similar reports that people have done for blackouts and mitigations. And then just the amount of detail that has been taken to understanding what to prepare for a potential assault on a grid, or how a government would deal with this kind of stuff. And he says that in the end, his investigation into this scenario of power and loss of the power grid, this scenario, was every bit as terrifying as his coronavirus research that he did for Lethal Agent, and that it led to a streak of sleepless nights. And it's creepy, chilling. Yeah, exactly, right?
Oh, no.
So, these books are always well researched, and I'm just excited to go a little. I've liked how these last two books have gone a little bit different, and yeah. I'm liking it. It sort of revitalizes the series a little bit.
Yeah, and
not that I needed it, but you know what I mean. It's always good to have something new.
And I remember Kyle really enjoying that, writing Lethal Agent, of putting Mitch in a new scenario, a Spanish-speaking country, right? Central America.
Right, exactly.
That was new for him, a new challenge. And writing in the drug cartels, right? We always hear about terrorist networks. Well, another terrorist network in the sense of they're damaging lives are the drug cartels. And so putting Mitch smack into the middle of their drama and how they operate was new. He's got a lot of opportunities to put Mitch in new situations here, which is where Kyle thrives, and where he said he gets a sense of personal fulfillment as a writer doing those things. So it seems like a slam dunk. That congressional report you mentioned, 90% of Americans would die if a blackout lasted a year. That is just that's jaw dropping. Like, I gotta find this report. Like, congressional, like, who do you go to for this? Like, I'm gonna have to find that. I bet there's a lot of organizations out there who have done these kind of like in the military, it's a force depletion report. Like, if we choose this action, what would be the consequences in numbers of American personnel lost? There's got to be not a force depletion, but like citizen depletion report. It sounds like this is it. Like, if this attack happens, we can expect this outcome. That's terrifying. So I don't know, Chris, if we do some research on this, I'm willing to chat about it and come back in a few weeks and see what we found and what we read about, and continue this road to total power.
I definitely would be down for that. All right, let's wrap it up here with our most recent entry in our Total Power knowledge, and that was this short little YouTube video that we got during lockdown, where we had this on-crew reviews, the story time.
By the way, great podcast for anybody out there. The crew reviews, these guys are incredible, and every week they're bringing on a different author. They just interviewed the author of Blacktop Wasteland, which came out today, and it's, from what I can tell, going to rise straight up the charts. And so the crew reviews, check them out. Great podcast doing video interviews with different authors every week.
Yes.
Sorry, not to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's okay. Right, so we had Kyle Mills that went on, and he said he was 1,000 miles from his house. He didn't have any books, so he decided to read a page from his second draft of Total Power. And so we get the author reading this page of Total Power. And do you want to tell us a little bit about what that page said, Mike?
Once again, teachers in the summer, I got too much time on my hands.
Way too much time in your hand.
I took this little snippet, and I left no stone unturned. I was thinking every facet of it. So we learn a little bit. We see Mitch Rapp undercover in an airport in Granada, Spain. And I looked it up. It was the Lorca Airport, GRX. And he's watching the security line for folks coming through. And he's got dossiers on 3 suspects, in addition to a primary target named Hamal Katan. All 3 are young Middle Eastern men, and they're going on trips that seem out of the ordinary. One is going to terminate in Barcelona and not continue flying. Another 2 out of these 3 Middle Eastern men Mitch is tracking are going to continue, according to their flight plan, into the U.S. And they're going to be on the same flight as Katan, who is the primary target. And it says, a 4th man from Pakistan was... And then Kyle cuts us off, and that's all he leaves us.
I wonder, is this the trap that goes bad that was mentioned in the description?
Yep. It says a CIA trap is foiled and goes south. Yeah. Is this it? Is something going to happen at this airport? Or is Mitch going to get on the wrong plane with these guys? I don't know. Or is he able to reveal this and his publisher was okay with that because it doesn't lead us anywhere. It's just a kind of blasé scene. It just
I don't know.
Young Middle Eastern radicalized men on a flight. Like, maybe they're not giving us anything, or maybe he's giving us something we just don't know what it is.
Well, Hamal Katan must be like the ISIS leader, the ISIS technology guy that he's trying to get.
I don't know. So I went crazy, though, because I'm thinking, like, so they're flying from Granada to Barcelona. Barcelona's in Catalonia. There's a Catalonian secession movement, and this guy's named Catan. Is there any connection to the secessionist movement? Is there some autonomous zone that declares themselves independent so Rapp can, or the terrorists can take some liberties there? Is that why they're flying into Barcelona?
Yeah, why are they in Spain?
I don't know. Well, I know Kyle was he living in Spain for a while, or at least vacationing there long term?
Okay.
Maybe that's why. But so I started looking up, what actual flights would go from GRX in Granada to Barcelona. And so I definitely found out they're flying Vueling, the low-cost Spanish carrier. I think that was...
You really went into this.
Well, so here was my goal. I wanted to see, do any flights go from Granada to the U.S. directly? Because then we would know what cities in the U.S. are going to be, under attack. But then I saw they were flying to Barcelona. So,
Which
once you connect to Barcelona, they could be going anywhere. But yeah, I think Vueling was the only one with a flight from Granada to Barcelona direct. So
nice. Yeah, I just like that excerpt because whether it's the first chapter or one of the first 5 chapters, or I guess it could be earlier on, but those first chapters just get your blood flowing. They all have sort of the same sort of, I don't know, cadence to how the word flow goes and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that.
I like your hunch that this is one of these guys is our technology expert.
Yeah.
And your hunch that this might be the plot that gets foiled. Maybe it's a rabbit hole.
I don't know. We'll see when we get our advanced copy.
Yeah, I don't know. Spain?
It's a new area we haven't seen. We've seen Rapp in Africa a lot. We've seen him in France. We've seen him obviously in the Middle East. Mainly in the Middle East. We've seen him in the Philippines, U.S.
Yep.
Last year we saw him in Mexico.
I wonder if any Spanish he picked up in Mexico is going to either help him or hurt him in Spain with people being able to pick up on any dialects and differences, or if...
I had a bone to pick with... I don't know, we can talk about this when we do Lethal Agent podcast, but so he's fluent in French. Like, he knows French. That's a known Mitch Rapp, characteristic. Spanish is a Romance language. He should be able to pick up. He should be a little bit better at Spanish. You know what I mean? I had that bothered me a little bit. But anyways, we can talk about it next episode.
Maybe a little more familiarity, but certainly, especially being in the Americas, certainly not having that native ability at all, right?
Oh, sure.
Arabic, we know he has that native ability to pick up on idioms,
dialects,
and sayings, and the dialects. Yeah, he can even differentiate the different forms of Arabic. So
much. Remember, in the conversation he had with Claudia over the phone in the last book, she didn't know what he was saying, even though she was trying to learn Arabic, right? So,
and he was trying to keep his phrases very simple so that she could pick up on them.
Yeah,
because he couldn't blow his cover speaking English to her. And George Goodell, I just listened to his audiobook. Did you hear the announcement today?
I did.
He was selected, and he's going to do Total Power again. Thank goodness. A lot of the fans were pleased to hear that. That's exciting.
I like him a lot. I think he does a good job.
Yeah, you recommended him to me. I'm actually... Lethal Agent was the first book I did on audiobook with him, and so I got to go back now that I know he's such a legend. Because I read these books initially. I never did audiobooks.
Right.
But now that you got me into them, I definitely need to backtrack and try out a few of his older ones.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, that's our first episode of Road to Total Power. Hope you enjoyed it. We hope to come back with some more nuggets as we get them with our next Road to Total Power episode. Maybe we'll even go deeper into this if we can find some of these congressional reports on the power grid. But yeah, anything else you need to say, Mike?
That's it. I'm pumped. Congratulations to all the Mitch Rapp ambassadors out there.
Yes.
Looking forward to getting that advanced reading copy. That is going to be lock the doors, don't talk to me. I will be sitting, probably out back if the weather's nice, for a good 12 hours straight. you won't hear from me. No Zoom calls with the guys. I won't be texting y'all.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for this book. I'm excited to read it, and I'm excited to do Lethal Agent.
Cool. Yeah. So, what is coming up next, Chris? What are we gonna do down the road?
Right. So for our next episode, we're going to be going our deep dive into Lethal Agent. So look out for that on the first Monday of August. Remember to please subscribe, rate, and review us using your favorite podcasting platform. You can find us online at Mitch Rapp Pod or using our Twitter handle at Mitch Rapp Pod. And as always, just let Mitch be Mitch.
And so just a quick shout out to everybody selected as a Mitch Rapp ambassador. We will shout out a few of our Twitter friends. So we have Sarah Walton at swalton907, Troy Poole at Troy Poole, J. Todd Wilkins at Zen Extremist, Angela Watts, another author, at Peculiar Angela, Brian Lixo at Brian_Lixo, Licsko, Derek Ludke at DEEK, Ludke, LUEDTKE, Christopher Payne at Chris Payne, friend of the podcast and patron, Kashif H at Kashif1307, Tom Dooley at Duels, DUELLS06, another friend of the podcast and patron, Evil Rap Lady at Evil Book Lady, Dave Collins at Silver and Blue DC, Todd Anderson at Andy, ANDE 9547, at Rich Map, Stephen Almodovar at Mick, MICH, Escobar 09. And that's it so far for the Mitch Rapp ambassadors that we've interacted with on Twitter. If you get selected as an ambassador, be sure to give us a shout at Mitch Rapp Pod, and we'd love to mention and congratulate you here on the show.